Well, one easy way for me to know if there is some interest out there and there are some interest in startups to invest in is just to open my inbox every day. We built a network out of these 3 years of a great journey until now, investing in various startups, 16 till now. Initially mostly Bitcoin, initially mostly payment processors, wallets, exchanges, and now we're moving to platforms, we're moving to blockchain. Obviously we have done that kind of pivot, if we can call it that way, because we don't make that separation so clearly, but we've been investing in blockchain startups for the last 2 years. And yes, so what I receive in my inbox is basically startups, entrepreneurs looking for money and looking for financing. And I start to get projects in that field. So that's always a good indicator for me that there is interest, there is an ecosystem getting built. There is one company we have accelerated very recently. They won already many pitch competitions. They just won an award yesterday at the GTEC in Berlin at the ESMT. There was a blockchain competition. And what they do is called a P2P, natural disaster management, natural disaster relief management. So they help, first of all, they help sending Bitcoin to disaster-struck areas, because as you may know, it's very difficult to send with traditional financial means, financial payments, because a lot of times banks don't operate in these areas. So the first thing they do, they send with Bitcoin. And what they do as well, they create this pool, and people who are likely to be affected or in an area that is often affected by natural disasters, they can participate in a pool. And it's a P2P insurance basically. And then there are sensors, there's a whole, algorithms in the background working that will measure the impact from, for example, an earthquake on the life of these people. We're not talking about house insurance. This is still covered by traditional insurance. We're talking about collateral damage. The fact that they cannot go to work, the fact that they cannot send their children to school, basic living issues that they face after a disaster. So that's one example that we have in our in Consilium, in our portfolio as a company in that field. There are other areas that seem very interesting. For example, I was thinking out of personal experience about expats living abroad. The insurance for expat is terrible. It's extremely, it's usually a monopoly. You only have a couple of players out there. It's very expensive. I hope somebody thinks about this market in that space. We see a very wide range of areas being disrupted by blockchain. I think insurance is a very natural one. I think it's one where there is a need for to take into account things like mobility, things that the new ways of living. Like you don't use your car every day. Maybe you use it in a different way than traditionally. The car ownership system is changing. The house ownership system may be changing. So basically, insurance has to adapt to this. And I think, obviously, in our view, blockchain can help in that phase. I don't have numbers to give you. I don't know how many startups have been funded in that space recently. My numbers are more general around blockchain or Bitcoin startups and cryptocurrency startups in general. All these numbers are going to be dwarfed by this DAO fundraise, which is great. Kudos to the people supporting that. If they don't need a fund manager, let's see what's the future of VC. I mean, we talk about disruption all the time, and obviously I'm in a position that could be very well disrupted, but I don't mind. That's great. It's part of the trip and the journey there. So yes, that's all I have to say about this stage. If you ask me if it's not too early to invest, I would say no. I mean, we traditionally have been looking at very these cycles, the beginning of the cycles. So that's very interesting to us. And as soon as interesting startup proposals start coming in, we look at it and hopefully we take action.